what I remember, we pursued the Greenlanders' tracks down into an underground area where, with the aid of Kazui's empathic abilities, had a brief fight with some acid-spitting vomes being produced by an autofac. Kazui brokered a truce with them. We found out where the frozen vomes are coming from. We had some indications that there's like a three-way vome fight going on in this area. And we finally discovered the Greenlanders deep in the mines, where they were all eating a strange pink substance that had mutated some of them, which was, in fact, they were kind of like processing this food for the autofac, and so the people that we sort of allied with were also kind of one of the biggest threats to the people that we rescued. And we then, argued to leave the camp with the 9 survivors, so that we could be big heroes rather than go on a dungeon delve whilst leaving these poor people up above. I think the plan was that we were going to head east. That was, I think, what happened. I can't remember. Did we find? Oh, I have a big shell. And I think otherwise we mostly acquired information thanks to Kazui being able to actually speak to the monsters.
Yeah, and I remember that Ida also foraged some mushrooms.
You said they have mouths. That kind of freaked me out a little bit.
They should. And other than, did you take anything else out of the? Didn't you take the scrap metal from the kamikaze vome?
Yes. From the spider, the robotic clock spider.
So when we start tonight's adventure, you're standing outside of the sewage tunnel that leads down back into the worm's nest. You're on the beach, which has these beautiful burgundy gravel. There's on the shore, there's the causeway made from cinnamon stone, and the river at this place is moving rather slowly. It is also really wide. You're at a fort, the boat of not the Garnet Fort. And I also remember that you had seen 2 campfires further north, and I think your plan was, because you're running low on food, as far as I remember.
Nomads are in this area, aren't they? That's what we were told by the wandering village, that there are nomads who might be able to help us with the crossing.
Well, and also with that there was possible hunting here, right? Because it seems like a good area for hunting
And foraging.
Yeah, and Kazui also had the information from Icing Matilda to potentially check out 2 areas. One is the copper hulls, where the rest of the party experienced some kind of time distortion, and the Cholan Woods, which is the area east to the river, which I think you had talked about maybe using for, as a source for food.
Yeah, I think that was where we were roughly thinking about heading as a first stop, and then working our way south again to maybe reunite with the caravan at some point. Going to whichever place we came to along the way, if we had the supplies to do so. We still need to actually cross the Wine River, though, don't we?
Yep.
Either way. These campfires that we see, are they before the Wine River?
Yes, they're on your side.
I think it would make sense then to go see if we can meet these nomads, make a good impression, see what we can perhaps barter with them. and look for their help in crossing the Wine River, and then make the call on foraging when we get across. Because we will need food to reach the caravan at some point, but perhaps we can maybe these nomads can hook us up with something,
So you move. Do you move back to the road? Do you stay on the gravel? The campfires are next to the river.
I'd vote road, personally.
Sure.
So you move north, reunite with a truck that you left on the road, and then drive on. It's relatively.
I'm not. We have 9 people with us, so I'm imagining it's more kind of like that walking alongside the truck and taking it in shifts kind of stuff, Like,
I do remember that you.
Oh, we tied a wagon up, didn't we? We restored one of the wagons. Yes, I take it back.
We have a trailer. We have a trailer.
Yes.
Yeah.
The U-Haul.
So, Ada, which is the leader of the Greenlanders, she would like to sit in the truck and talk to you.
Yeah.
And the rest goes to the trailer. And she thanks you, and she still looks really shaken. And she says, I don't know how long we would have survived without you.
You did well to survive so long.
We couldn't leave you behind.
Well, we left our brothers and sisters behind.
There was nothing that could be done for them.
I'm sorry we weren't there sooner.
Well, I'm glad that you came eventually.
There were some. You're not the only caravan that went missing, and sadly we weren't able to save them. But I'm glad we were able to save you.
Were they all taken by cold worms?
The Purple Enders, what happened to them? I can't remember.
They were the Galgrass, and you had the suspicion that they not starved to death, but what's it called? If you have not enough water,
Dehydrated. Yeah.
Died first. Yeah.
Died first. Yeah. Let's just say none of the settlements went well.
And
did you know anything about the nomads in this area?
They asked us for their help, but they were asking for money, and she said that in a tone as if they went insane. So we obviously saved, because a nickel saved is a nickel earned.
Oh yes, and we think back to the many discussions with our caravan leader about such this philosophy.
And so when you drive on, you near the camp, and I guess this is the flip of the coin. Let's see which one you meet first.
I hope it's not the ones who are cannibals.
It's the pine nut. So my first question is so they are proper nomads sitting around a campfire. There are a couple of horses that you can see. They're tents. They have means to obviously traverse the river. So they are, makeshift bridges and, bladders filled with water and barrels and lots of ropes and poles and so forth. Neither. What gives away that they are from the pine nut clan?
Every once in a while in my travels, I see something that I don't understand, and I have to stifle a laugh because it seems truly ridiculous. They wear vestments made of pine needles. or at least the leader of this particular tribe does.
Mm-hmm. And Will, they're also their face is obscured. What kind of mask or veil or something do they wear?
They wear like canvas with eye holes cut into it that is just tied around their faces. Like with string around their ears and stuff, but like angles loosely over their face, and they lift it up to eat.
Nice. And Azure, like you have met clans where they wore like a gas mask. You met a clan where they wore like these copper wires. What is some kind of metal apocalyptic element to their vestments?
I think like they have like one of those Tusken Raider things around the neck, but it's attached to their mouth.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a scuba thing, but it's made out of like, brass or something. Ooh. And then that's like works its way into the mask and they have to pull it all out to eat and stuff like that. Or maybe they don't have to eat and it just feeds them slurry or something like that.
Who knows? Like a brass tube or something?
Yeah, like a brass tuba. Scuba diving thing.
Yeah, thing. And then lastly, Kuzui, you see the shaman of the clan, and he sits a bit to the side. What gives away that he's the shaman of the clan?
Everybody else is avoiding him. He's got his own tent. Yeah, the others have communal tent, probably, one big tent, and he has his own tiny little tent that's at a significant remove from the rest. From the rest of them, that's and he's probably all his clothing is also covered in markings, but the most obvious thing is nobody. If someone who does their work as a shaman professionally, that's the only thing they do, they're so surrounded by spirits all the time that it's uncomfortable for normal people to be anywhere near them. So they have a distance. They're treated very well in the general case because they're so useful, but they're not really of the tribe anymore.
They have their own tribe of spiritual beings, probably, that they're close to.
Yeah, it's like your ancestors. I'm here with a random 24 of your forebears who are spooky and you don't want to talk to.
And so you're approached by two of these canvas-wearing nomads with their laser rifles, and they halt the truck.
I immediately get out because I really got to look at these rifles.
Mm-hmm.
I've got my hands away from my body, palms forward, showing that I'm not meaning any harm. But I kind of point at the rifle on my back.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
they are. You can't see that they are smiling, obviously, because they have the canvas. But you can hear in the voice that they are immediately taken in by Nida, and especially her weapons. And one of them says, "Please come to the campfire. Let's share some food, so that we know we don't have to fear you, and you don't have to fear us."
Good.
Do you have food, right? You also see that they are pretty thin, lithe.
Not a lot of food to share.
Likewise.
Well, we could We could break a little bread. Maybe
right.
just share my flask or something. But we're really looking for help crossing the river. If you'd be interested, we can pay. We've got people that we need to look after.
And from the trailer, the Greenlanders appear, and they also shuffle closer to the fires. And I mean, I think Nida had the most exposure to nomad culture. So are you taking the lead?
I think, honestly, I am just so over the moon with these laser rifles that I'm just peppering them with questions. You know, what's the firing mechanism? What's the priming mechanism? You know, how do you charge them? So to the extent that those questions constitute diplomacy, I guess maybe.
And they are, as I said, they are also really interested, especially in your plasma rifle, but also probably even more the porcelain pistols, if you have them on you.
Do you think I wouldn't? I mean, I don't want to get killed for lack of not shooting back. Pistol on each hip, sniper rifle on my back, and that Satrap radiant gun.
So after a little bit of like an uncomfortable beginning, I think the groups mingle pretty quickly. And the nomads actually do produce some food and share it. There's one old, I don't know, like a, what's it called? Like a tin with some alcoholic brew that is passed around where everybody takes a sip. And there's some kind of mingy looking animal that is, that is on the campfire. So
I think we can spice that up with some marrow beets.
So what is Kazooie doing?
Once people mingle, I think I will go pay my respects to the spirit master.
And Azure, are you joining as a fellow witch?
Yeah, definitely.
And so Azure, you see that that they are in conversation with something that is not apparently visible. So they have turned their back to the campfire. They're talking into the air apparently. But if you go closer, he turns around. And so my last question to establish the camp, Abe, what kind of masks do they wear? Does he wear? And what does it say about his, I don't know, like, is it like a totem animal? Is it some bones? What kind of mask does he wear?
I have an idea.
Oh, okay. Go.
I think the mask is it's actually like really, really high. Like, like the people with the plates around their necks, how their necks are really stretched. Like, I mean, it's just a mask, but it goes up like, whatever, maybe 4 heads high. And it's covered in, I mean, where are they from originally? Like what type of terrain is it?
This is like highlands, like elevated and then foresty.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll say that like it's kind of covered in this really thick moss.
Yeah, so it's made of bark.
Cool.
Originally, it's a pine bark, and it is frightening.
That would have been my next question. What is unsettling about it? But it is apparently just a frightening expression on the mask.
Yes, it is. It is. It is. Unless you're used to these things, it's very off-putting because it's meant to be scary. It is. It is a significant item, meaning that spirits can see it. And it makes hostile spirits keep their distance. So it's because it has the aspect of a predator.
And so,
you can tell that by just the way it's being treated. It probably has red earth that's been rubbed into the cracks and things like that. That allows spirits to perceive it, because most spirits can't perceive most objects very well. Things that are dead.
So you hear the voice behind the mask. So you're not afraid?
No, what's there to be afraid of? It's a tool of your trade.
Am surrounded by ghosts.
Yes, you are. I only have one. I guess it's not really a ghost. And I hold up I hope I indicate my fetish.
And she turns to Azure. And you have a ghost to be afraid of, right?
I guess it depends on how you look at it.
You surround yourself with very powerful items. The stink is on you.
It's my mission. It's my cross to bear.
It's a heavy cross.
It is. I do not deal with the dead as you do, but I deal with things of spirit nature enough that your entourage doesn't trouble me.
We all deal with the dead. Every journey is accompanied by the dead.
It is. And I would, if we spent a lot of time together, I would be interested in hearing more and perhaps sharing with you something of the elements that is the lore where I come from.
I hear a butt coming.
I don't know if we'll get that opportunity, but I should like it.
I can also see that you have spoken to Matilda.
Yes. I am looking for places on which is writ the coming of the world.
And she looks pointed. He looks pointedly at Azure. Well, the end might come earlier than we all would wish.
That's true. But if it doesn't, we still need to plan.
It's all written. It's all written down. It's all destined to come when it comes. There's nothing we can do to stop it. So why not just...
There's a cackling behind the mask. Ah, the classic defense. It will happen anyways, even if I bring it to be.
Yes. Well, It's not written whether or not we get caught by surprise.
So let's look. I don't know what you've paid your respect, and we see the three witches or the three magic users, if you will, huddled together.
We're talking shop.
Yes, talking shop indeed. And the atmosphere at the other campfire gets a bit wilder when one of the elders who introduced herself as Sarlok produces some drugs to use. And I do know that Azure wants to kick off her addiction, so she's probably out, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'll pass.
Very good, very well. And let's see what they have. Can somebody roll 3d6, please? Maybe neither. Will has to take the phone out, I think.
All right. Do you want the total number, or do you want each die as it's rolled?
Yeah, each die, please.
3, 3, 2.
Let's have a look. See. So it is a 3. It is psychedelic.
I love the idea of Austin's and I just sitting there talking shop with their snipers.
Yeah. So do you let them, take the porcelain pistol in their hands?
I mean, I've got grenades if they try to run off with it. So, yeah, I guess so. I mean, this is what passes for diplomacy out here. I mean, we're probably trading techniques, and I'm probably trying to recruit them for the Legion.
So, as I said, Zarlok takes out some kind of flatbread, burn that it looks pretty burnt on the outside, at least. It's black. And she breaks the bread, and she says, "We should take this after the deal is done. So I assume you want to be transported over the river. Is that true?"
Given what we saw with the Sky Bridge, having people who actually know the terrain and know the bridge and the conditions and the crossings, yes, that would be hugely helpful. It took us almost a day out to cross the Sky Bridge.
We charge 50 cash, if that is what you can cough up.
I think we can manage that.
And then she claps her hand and she says to the others, "So the deal is done." And she breaks the bread and she says, "But, should really be careful taking this."
I'm not much of one for recreational things like that. But
it's very spiritual in nature.
Just because of the circumstances, I'll make an exception.
And so she starts chewing, and the piece that she broken off, she passes on to you, and then she also passes it to the person to her left. And she looks at you the whole time while she's chewing, and you can see that her eyes start to flutter, and then roll back into her head, and she passes out. What do you do?
I'm going to check to make sure she's breathing.
She's breathing heavily.
In that case, I'm going to assume that this is just part of the literal trip. I mean, if there's no evident distress, I'm not seeing any kind of. If I'm not seeing anything that worries me, that makes me think that she is in danger,
I mean, she's completely helpless in the state she is in the moment.
Well, I mean, it's not like we have raiders coming through or wild animals trying to eat us or anything. So,
And you can see that not everyone among the nomads take it, and none of the Greenlanders.
Well, in Nida's case, she's just nibbling at it a little bit like a mouse, just enough to be social.
Yeah, Austin takes the bread and passes over to Hamish. All right, so this is what happens. For Nida, there's a great rule in Dolmen Woods for people who just want to try. You roll a d6. 1 and 2, it's too weak that you even know what it is. 3 and 4 means you get like the slight
Goldilocks dose.
Exactly, and 5 and 6 is you get the full dose anyways.
All right. 4.
Nice. So you don't like your reality doesn't dissolve completely, but you have this visuals that you have when you take like magic mushrooms, like the light ones. So you see the patterns in everything. So if you look in the fire has like a Mandelbrot structure in it. If you look at the trees, they have this interesting, intricate patterns, but they're still trees and they're still fire.
I kind of wave for Hamish.
Hamish, on the other side, your reality dissolves into these fractal Mandelbrot patterns. It's like an infinity loop, and you're gone, and it's really, really enjoyable.
I'm like, yeah, this is like my sword.
I was just going to say it's like your sword. And then we've got the golden ratio in here.
Listen, I'd love to get my sword out and look at it, but after what happened last time, I've made myself a rule: no getting the sword out while I'm on any substances. Maybe when it's wearing off, we can take a look. But yeah, Hamish is very happy to be tripping out.
Tripping balls, as the professionals say.
Yeah, and he's at the back of his mind, he's thinking, "Oh, I hope someone's negotiating passage across the river."
Oddly, tripping balls is what just went into the notes.
As it should be. So let's get maybe back to the grown-ups.
The kids' table.
I mean, the Kolpek, which is the name of the shaman, is happy to discuss matters of life, death, and spirituality and everything in between, but also happy to answer questions, but also asks you questions about, especially Kozue, about the Sisterhood of the Near Moon. And Azure, do you tell him about the Blue God? Or do you keep it quiet?
I'm going to keep it under wraps. I mean, they have a pretty good head start on what my shit is, so I think it's probably a good idea not to just fucking lay the hand out on the table. So I might have some pointed questions with them, to them,
So hold on a second. Can we take like 3 minutes? I really need to pee. I'm sorry.
Yep, good point.
Top
So
of the
do
hour
I.
anyway.
I'll be back in a second. Okay, back again. So I think he asks you, Kozue, is it true that the sisters come from the void?
Not from the void itself, but from the stars. Through the void to the moon a long time ago. That's what our stories all say.
Fascinating.
Is there any question I can ask for you? I can answer for you about your own circumstance.
Of course.
What do you need to know?
When you saw Matilda the last time, did she seem to be worried about something?
Yes.
What was the worry that plagued her?
She was very concerned about getting power sources, as I recall.
Yes.
Pretty much willing to to barter what she could in order to get some of the devices and vehicles within her purview working again.
And did she get what she wanted?
She got at least one. More than that, I can't say.
And were you paid for your efforts?
Yes, and information.
Very smart.
Places to find the elements that I'm looking for. That's why I'm here, and not on the moon.
I know it's giving away secrets, and he comes a bit closer. What errors did she point out?
I'm willing to tell you if it's a trade.
I'm trading in secrets.
Very well. And I tell him the ones that I know about in this area.
Mm-hmm. The name is Kolpek. And there's again the cackling laughter. If you're going to the Cholan Woods, you shouldn't stay too long.
Seems to be a truism around here.
Mm-hmm. It is especially true for the Cholans. The Cholans themselves, some whisper come from the stars as well. But the nightmares, they are less friendly. Stay the day, not the night, is my advice.
Hard to traverse that whole spot in a day.
You might want to consider avoiding it completely then.
I don't really have that choice.
Just be careful.
What are you going to do? Go back across the Teal River and the Sky Bridge? I don't think so. Yes, we will. Do you know any of these old places that fit the descriptions? So these are.
Well, the elders know. I can ask them.
That would be kind of you.
And he looks past you to. If you follow his gaze, you can see that he looks at Nida. There's someone who's followed by a ghost for a long time. Probably a bad conscience.
Yes.
And then they are quiet, and they're turning their. He turns his back to you again, and talks into the air. And that takes some time. But when they, and you could obviously, both of you could try to, I don't know, perceive the ghost that they are, or the ghost that he's talking to, if you wanted to. But if you don't, then after some time he turns around and he says, even the ghosts can't enter the copper hulls, and I don't know if you should want to. They say that they are batteries of slow time. They are rulers of three. Batteries of slow time.
Batteries of slow time?
That's what the elders say.
Would that be perhaps similar to, what caused Saffron problems because her hemispheres of her brain were moving in different times?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's an interesting association.
Yes, well, we're not planning to go in that direction, more to the south. Do you know anything there? Do they know anything there? Excuse me.
Let's see. So on your map, you do see these towers, and you have seen them on your voyage as well, both from when you crossed the lake on the ferry, and also when you were, traveling along the lake. And they say it's that these 3 towers, that they are home. Like, you should be careful in any case, because cold worms have used it as their hunting grounds. But they are also, the closest you could get of the ghosts of machines. The nomads refer to them as doomed machine humans that are doomed to relive a day in their life.
It's a wretched fate.
If you were interested in riches and so forth, you would have to go there. I don't know if you would find the omens you're looking for. And then the last thing he says, and I think it's probably really late, and the fires have all burned down, and the people on the children's fire, so to speak, on the other fire, they are drunk or have passed out already. He says, let's see, and then there's the gray glow. And some say it's a portal, and some say it's a trap, and it's south of the towers.
Doesn't have to be one or the other, does it?
Yeah, and you hear the familiar cackling. Maybe it's both.
Where are you going? Where are you bound after this?
Well, I have to stay with my children.
Of course.
And they hope for travelers. But when it gets really cold, we'll travel west. We have been half nomad for some generations now.
Difficult life.
It is where I have been positioned. We don't choose those who we take care for.
No. No, we don't. No, duty comes first, always, doesn't it?
It does. And I think, shall we cut the scene?
Mm-hmm. That's fine.
So next morning, what do you think? Who would be up first? I mean, Azure and Kazoo had a long talk, and Hamish was tripping. Maya, maybe?
Kazooie doesn't really sleep, but she's still and gazing out across the river.
You could almost imagine that's what Hamish is doing as well, but really he's just not really slept because his mind is just still seeing patterns everywhere, right up until the morning, where it's just traces left now. I don't think he's particularly slept. He's just like, oh, that was brilliant.
So yeah, the trip actually lasts a couple of hours. So I would assume that in the morning you're slowly getting out of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he did more obviously afterwards, because he's Hamish McRainbow, right?
Topping it up.
Did we negotiate with them to help us cross the river?
Yes,
Yeah?
yes. That was the last thing before
Cool.
Sarlocc ate the bread.
Yeah. Then I guess onwards, right?
Yes. So the camp slowly wakes up. They take their ropes and poles and bladders and makeshift bridge parts and start. I assume, I don't know if somebody has a better visual, but that the river is, as I said, is pretty wide and slow, and there must be areas within the water that are more shallow, and that they connect these less shallow or more shallow places so that the truck can slowly pass, and then they would disassemble.
Maybe even like old pontoons, kind of like
Yeah.
floating in the water. The nomads themselves have put at different points. You can't use it without the connecting points, but it's there. Like
Exactly. They point out where it is, but they also construct the pontoon bridges there.
Quick question. Are we assuming that I just got my pistol back, or do I have to ask for that back?
No, they didn't.
Okay. They just wanted to look at it. Okay.
Yeah. And they were passing it around, and I could imagine that Nida was keeping an eye on where the pistol was at any point, but it made the whole circle and then just returned to you.
I had Ajax watching.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was going to be a we'll help you cross the river if you give us a gift of one of these lovely pistols. So.
I mean, when the topic comes to food, they say they would trade food for the pistol. That's the only because food is their survival, and the pistol could balance that out, the food that they would give away.
If I ever make it back this way, I'll try to bring extras.
How many would you trade for a grenade?
A grenade
goes boom, really good. You want to be careful. It's like a rock that you throw, and it blows up, and it makes big boom. What? We got so many of them, and I don't need so many. You know
don't.
What?
I do.
You know what? Here, have a grenade. You've been lovely. Here, have one.
One of them takes the grenade.
And I explain how to use it, and I'm like,
immediately pulls the pin. What do you do?
I grab the grenade. And I quickly snatch the pin out of his hand, and I put it back in, shaking. I was like, no, don't do that. Right? Who's cleverer than this person?
Like 6 or 7.
Right. This goes boom, like huge. It'll kill you, and it'll kill anything near it. So, could be useful, right? If some big nasty comes after you, but don't pull it out for a laugh, or you'll be dead. Understand?
The guy he knows about, not throwing it far enough, and injuring people. He knows.
Hey,
I just glare at Hamish.
I do my best to explain all those things.
So the guy who pulled the pin gets slapped by another guy, and but they thankfully take the grenade.
Cool.
And let's see. So the crossing the river takes a considerable amount of time. Let's see.
I imagine it very like Wild Westy kind of fording the river and slow, and people getting out and pushing and stuff like that.
Yeah, without porters, it takes 4 days. But with the help, I assume that it's just the 1 day. But it's a day that definitely reminds you on crossing. What was it? The Teal River, I think. So it's really muddy. There's insects that bites. There's the groping willows. The whole place is strangely void of animals. You do see once in a while like a salamander swimming through the water, and the nomads definitely avoid them like the plague. But you don't see any birds which is a bit strange.
They avoid the salamanders.
Yes.
Have they explained why they avoid the salamanders?
They are carnivorous. Carnivorous.
Okay.
Do they just eat meat, or do they also eat people?
We are meat.
No, they eat everything.
Right.
Keep clear of them.
And I've got my satrap radiant gun at the ready, and I'm watching them.
And so at noon, the violet glow that paints everything in this weird twilight slowly dissolves, and the sun comes out, and then you have half a day still to cross. And at the evening, you're all completely covered in mud. And you reach the other side of the river, which is still, lined with this beautiful burgundy gravel.
Can I ask a question real quick? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, finish what you're saying.
No,
well,
I was finished.
So those copper houses that they were talking about, those are out of our way, right? We would have to go out of our way to get to them.
Yeah, the copper hulls that Kolpek was talking about, they were these big structures when Saffron had their breakdown. You remember when?
Okay, got it. Okay, cool. All right, sorry, I was kind of in and out. I didn't hear. I didn't grok it all. All right, never mind. That's in our past.
That is in your past, but you can definitely turn back later on.
I would like to, in that course of traveling across thing, I'd like to be hanging out in the back of one of the auto wagons and do an oracle just to see kind of what's happened, what's up next for us on this chapter of our journey.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you're either in the truck or in the trailer. Do you want to be with the Greenlanders in the trailer or in the truck?
I'll be in the truck.
Mm-hmm. And you want specifically know what lies ahead. Is it more like dangers that lie ahead, opportunities? Is it your future, or is it the future of the caravan?
The future of the caravan. Maybe with some insight on dangers, upcoming dangers. I mean, if I can mix and match. If it's just one thing, though, I guess it would be what's up with the caravan overall. Mm-hmm. Do a health check.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Potential future. I don't know what you're going to do, obviously, so I have to think about it for a second.
Well, then in that case, we'll talk about potential dangers, because obviously you have more insight into that than if, hey, what are we going to do? Because you don't have an oracle in real life either. So we'll do it. Potential dangers.
Okay. So it all starts pretty cheerful. I think you are crossing a bridge, a rusty bridge with holes in it, and there's you see it from under the bridge. There's dust falling off, and maybe like a wheel gets stuck in the in one of the potholes. But then the whole scenery changes. Everything gets dark all of a sudden. It's like a bluish, twilighty dark. And you find yourself at the foot of what looks like a giant statue. Or is it a statue? Is it something living? You don't know. It seems to be torn apart. There's huge part of this body is missing. It seems to be suspended by some kind of cables. And if you look up in your vision, you can see that the statue or the creature, whatever it has this 3 appendices on its head, and there's this glowing void where its organs are supposed to be, and then you are all of a sudden you get a flashback to when you did the augury at the Shell. Do you remember when you were looking for the floating island?
Yes.
There was this. Yes. So exactly the same thing happens. There's this gigantic eye, like a red eye, and you hear in your voice, instead of get away or something, it's what it says before, and now it says, I'm coming, and your vision disappears. And if you have a look at the roller, I will take another segment.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that last thing?
Yes, there's a clock on the dice roller. It has 8 segments, and I just clicked the second one. So something is with the eye.
Aha, I see. That bodes ill.
It does, doesn't it? All right. So the nomads. I think when you wake up, who's driving? Nida?
Yeah, probably. And is Zarlok just kind of overseeing the project, or is she working on it and putting parts together, or?
Zarlok stayed behind at the camp.
Ah, darn.
But there are other nomads that you could talk to, like that walking next to the truck.
You know, we're probably just shooting the breeze about fire rates and effective ranges.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why you really want certain types of scopes,
Mm-hmm.
why you don't want others. You know,
Austin's is obviously chiming in the discussion.
and I would like to know, did Austin's and I manage to recruit anybody for the Legion?
I think it's hard to get them. You would have to, because they are they're very clannish. They're very like the clan goes first, and like threats to other people are not really that interesting to them.
Not even if it's to keep their own living area secure and safe?
That is true, but I mean, you being part of the Legion also, if you sell it honestly, means addressing all the threats, whether or not they affect the clan or not.
Yeah, but there's also Beauregard, and he settled down at the Behemoth Shell,
Mm-hmm.
and the Legion doesn't seem to have too much of a problem with that. So, you know, there is precedent for them being able to pretty much stay where they are as long as they're willing to take care of some nastiness whenever it pops up.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I would say that would warrant a charisma check to persuade someone, but with disadvantage, because they are very loyal to the clan.
Okay, that's fair. All right, 2d20. And there's a 19 right out the gate. Not happening.
Yeah, you have the feeling that one of the younger women listened very closely when you were talking about the advantages of having some kind of organization in your back that would support you in securing an area.
I mean, Austin's and I showed up.
Mm-hmm.
We're basically an army on our own.
But when you are looking for her, like she was listening to you crossing the river, but when they wave goodbye, she's already back in the river itself.
Oh,
But
well.
yeah, at the end of crossing the river, Azure. I don't know. How do you react when you come out of your vision? Is it like gasping?
Yeah, I wake with a start, and the wheels start turning in my head. That maybe that the pyramid eye thing was not necessarily a coincidence the first time around, but a warning.
So now you realize that something happened, and I think it's pretty obvious that Azure had were performing an augury, because you do have to, like, I don't know, burn
There's
incense.
incense. You can smell incense and stuff like that. There's like a specific kind that I burn when I do it. That it's a tip off.
You want to talk about it?
Yeah. I get up and I sit down and kind of shake it off, try to shake it off, and then I kind of explain the whole.
I hand you a flask while you're kind of shaking.
Take a nice deep swig, and then I just kind of relate the whole vision to Nida, and I tell him about the eye, and or tell her about the eye, and then basically just say, I think I saw this in that pyramid, and I've seen it again. I think it's coming for us.
This sounds like a problem too big to shoot.
Well,
and that's paradoxical, because usually the bigger a problem is, the easier it is to shoot.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not even sure their laser guns would work on this thing. It's going to be trouble if I'm right. It's going to be big trouble.
We're going to need a bigger crate of grenades.
If it were only so easy, but if we can get any, let's load up.
I mean, you'd think the satraps have to have something cool, right? I mean, look at this gun. I mean, it starts fires, for Christ's sake. It's amazing.
I mean, I have to say, we all know I've been kind of off the rails for a while, and I've been thinking about putting this thing in check. And Kazuo has offered to help me, but I have to squash this golden amber stuff. If we're going to face this thing, I can't do it jacked up. Because if it's coming for me specifically, which it feels like it is, I can't let you guys do the heavy lifting on that.
I wasn't going to say anything because you're an adult, but I'm glad you realized that. Not that you couldn't let us do the heavy lifting, but just that, you realize you need to get off that stuff.
So we're back. What do you want to do? So Kazuo, I think, maybe has a reason to go to the Cholan Woods.
I almost
indeed, yes.
Yeah. How feasible would it be, perhaps, to send the? Do you think it'd be better to send the caravan and trailer along while we go into the Cholan Woods? We can leave.
Yes.
Our NPCs. Well, we've only got Adam. Yeah, we can. Austin can look after them, and the golem, yes, or whatever it's called.
Yes.
And while we go in and scout out what we need to scout out, and then meet them further down the trail, perhaps, or
Mm-hmm. Is that agreed by everyone? Then I would say, yeah.
What are we looking for in the Cholan Woods again?
We're looking for one of the ancient sites that Kazuo is trying to find, that will let her predict what's going to happen in the world. There are a lot of places that were created a very, very long time ago, And they're all augury spots during moments of crisis such as are coming up. And if you know how to read them, they tell you what's going to happen.
And Kazue had the had the intel from Matilda that the Cholan Woods had one of these places.
Was there any more detail, like about where it might be, or is it just in the woods? Okay.
But you could, I don't know, you can scout the place. Kazoo could send her fetch. Azure could do the augury. So there are ways to increase the probability to find something.
I think this is a thing that Kazoo is looking for, right? Kazoo is probably the best person to find it.
Yeah.
We're just here we're mostly here for protection, you know.
Muscle.
So when you follow the path that leads on the plateau, you can see that the truck and the trailer slowly move south. And once you reach the plateau, you can see that the plateau is really sparsely populated by these by the pine trees. So you can see pretty far, but most of them have some kind of, it looks like a blue glowing, almost like tendrils that drip from the trees, like slowly, and like some viscous fluid that drips, from the branches. You can also see that on the plateau, there are some. Once in a while, you see this big. They look like almost like skin sacks or something, but they're gigantus. They are like big as houses. There are at least a dozen or so that you can see from your position. And then lastly, you can see what is here described as wispish floating creatures akin to aerial jellyfish. And that is what you see.
Strange.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we should forage in these woods. It's a bit manky.
I'm inclined to agree with you.
Do you think your fetch can find the spot?
Yes.
Let's hope it's not inside one of those big fleshbacks. Ugh.
There's no reason to think so. So yes, so I will sit down and draw a protective circle around myself. And I will, in a place where I can see the whole woods, and I will shake a few dried mushrooms out of a bag and chew on them, and wait for them to take effect. And then I'll close my eyes and I'll send my fetch out.
Mm-hmm.
And my body becomes inert. I'm still breathing, but not moving.
Mm-hmm. And how does the I think this is what your fetch is more than capable to do, but it's still a miracle.
Sure.
So it's just 1 HP. How does that manifest on, if at all? Is it like just you get pale, or is blood involved?
No, this isn't a blood ritual. So the way it manifests is that at the beginning of the thing, I throw up breakfast.
Mm-hmm. It's the mushrooms working, obviously.
Yeah, the mushroom. After taking the mushrooms, basically, I throw up, and then they start to have effect.
And so you fly with the fetch, I assume, that you see what...
the fetch is part of me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so you move through the plateau, over the plateau, the way just a flying creature can move, snaking between the meat sacks and the trees, avoiding the dripping plasma or whatever it is. And you come upon a place where the trees have fallen, but for a long time ago, in a certain pattern. So they all fell away from some kind of explosion, maybe in the central point. And there you can see shards, and something tells you that they are peach hued. They have this peachy hue to it, and something tells you that this was a cosmic
star metal.
Yes, some kind of exactly like a star metal, cosmic shells, and maybe it is something from your scripture that has been talking about this, but this is the remnant of what is sometimes referred as a sky chariot.
Yes.
That's where the cold worms are supposed to have come from.
Not surprised.
Well, Hamish has heard something different. The cold worms were supposed to have landed in this horse steppe.
But I thought it was in a sky chariot.
Yes, but sky chariot is more like a general term for vehicles that can traverse it.
Okay. Well, thank you for explaining out of character, but in character, Hamish does not know that.
No.
Yes. Okay. Well, I think that's it. So I'll pull my fetch back. If that has the right feel, and wake back up again.
Mm-hmm.
I found it, I think.
Lead on then, Kazoo.
Yeah. I don't have any more. I don't have any more understanding of what these strange things are than you do. But there's the remnants of a sky chariot in there, and not a recent one. Perhaps one that crashed more than landed.
Wonder if we can fly it out of here. That'd be nice.
Don't know, but it will tell us something.
So we see like a lot of the rings type shot, overshot, where we see the long file of the 4 heroes traveling over the plateau. Neither you have the idea that that the floating jellyfish actively avoid you. I mean, as a Legion of the Far Side and Survivor, you're obviously on the lookout for potential danger. but they definitely avoid you. They move intelligently. And I would say after probably 2 or 3 hours, by the time we just assume, I didn't say that, but you probably, because you arrived on the other side of the river in the evening, you probably spent the night on the beach. So by the time you come to the place of the explosion or the crash, the violet hue that is always in the air disappears. The sun comes out. It's a pretty cold day, clear sky, and before you see that the ground is littered with these shards, and Brandon, Kuzui, normally you have like a 25% chance of finding something. Is that true?
That's what it says.
Yeah, but I think because you have like a hint, you have gotten a hint from somebody who is supposed to know. I think that this is with advantage. So practically you have 50% chance to finding something. If you don't find something, it's probably too old, like the writing or whatever it is has degraded so much that you cannot decipher it.
Okay. So what do I roll?
It's just a 50%, so you could roll a D100 and lower than 50. You could roll a D6, and 1, 2, and 3 is you fail, and 4, 5, 6 is you succeed.
Fail.
So what is? So you definitely see the shards. You can make the connection, and the pattern that you can see is almost telling the story. But what happened that obscures the meaning? Its meaning.
Something has been eating these things.
So there are shards missing.
There are shards missing.
It all.
And they look, and it suggests that they've sort of been dug up in a very crude fashion.
It also occurs to you that the material is precious. So if you would spend the time to collect them,
Unquestionably,
it is a commodity that you can trade.
I am absolutely going to spend time to collect them, because it's also a source for an elemental.
So I would say foraging for the rest of the day. Let's see, what does it say in the good book? So you get if all of you forage for the rest of the day, you could get D6 sacks. If you just want to get out of there as quickly as possible, you could get 1 sack, and it would take like an hour or something.
What do you want to do, Kazoo?
I'd like to take some of these out. I mean, that you may be able to trade with them, because it's star metal, but I want some as a source for an elemental.
So
Please.
spend the time then. Hamish is convinced.
Mm-hmm.
It's shiny and it looks valuable, so definitely.
Oh yeah, can you roll a D6 to see how many sacks you get?
5.
Nice. And you can also write down, or I can write it down in the character keeper. 1 sack is 700 cash. So obviously, by the time you're done, the sun disappears behind the mountains. And you are in the middle of the plateau somewhere, pretty deep inside. And you can see that especially I think Kuzui and Azure, you can see that the others not so much. You still see the dripping from the trees, but for Kuzui and for Azure, it seems as if there's something ethereal emerging from them.
Nightmares.
I lean over. I'm like, what was that? What's going on over there?
Nightmares.
Night, Jesus Christ.
What the shaman warned us about.
You think it's a good time to get the hell out of here?
Yes. I don't think we should remain if we can leave quickly.
How does it feel? Like, can we get out of here in time, or is this like it's going to take us a while to pull up stakes?
What is your approach? Like, are you fleeing the area? Are you running? Is it more like a turtle? Everyone is aiming to all sides.
Well, it's all it's just us. Like the caravan's off on the side of the road somewhere, and we're rooting around in the bushes.
Yes, you have sent the truck and the trailer ahead.
Yes.
Okay. I guess. I mean,
we have three choices. We can run, we can hunker down, or we can try to do a kind of an armed retreat.
Yes.
Armed retreat. I mean, I don't know what guns and whatnot would do against nightmares, but I think that's probably our best bet, because if we could just like bail out of here head first, we could wind up in bigger trouble.
I agree.
See, my vote would be for the runaway approach. Just thinking of I'm going back to the Lord of the Rings, and as they flee the orcs, through the hills. But I'm happy. We don't just need to have guns. We have a fractal blade. It's all you need. So, cautious retreat it is. Perhaps with the solar ray lantern, flickering back to the aliens theme again, flickering around the bushes, shotguns and guns raised.
So a careful retreat it is. And Azure and Kuzui, do you try to conjure some kind of protection for the others?
Yes. I'm going to take out a knife. This is and cut my palms, and I'm going to make a blood mark on each person's forehead that's willing to accept it. Which is a warding off, spirit warding off. Spirits can see these signs and they don't like them. And it should make them hesitant to attack, blunt their attack if they do.
So I would say if you would complete, like a ward tells me that they have some kind of protection, but it is not impenetrable, let's say. So
no, it's not. There's. I mean, the only ways to keep out things like this, like these, that are impenetrable, are stationary and require a lot more preparation.
So I would say that the ward that you're describing costs you D6 HP.
Okay.
Can we distribute? I'm happy to pitch in blood You know, if it would defray damage.
Yes.
Especially because he's got a HP of 5. So
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
you can.
HP of 8. So I mean, if you want me to take the bullet, you can use my blood exclusively. I got 8 hit points. So.
All right.
Well, the weight has to be carried by Kazooie, but you can maybe
We can divide it.
Yes, I would say 50-50. So it's a D3 for each of you.
Okay. That's good. So I rolled a 5 on a D6.
Wow.
I'm still up.
And we see you
Hey, I got a 1.
slowly. Nice. That's still 1 HP though.
Yep.
And how do we? So we already know that Hamish has the solar lamp out and the shotgun, and secures the area. What's Nida doing?
I'm in the shadows.
So apart, like a little bit aside from the 3 others.
Yeah, I don't want a nightmare to come charging in and take all of us out at the same time. So I've got my shotgun out and I am scanning.
So if we're going to remain stationary, then I'll do a stationary ward.
oh no, we're I think as we move through the
Yeah, that is my understanding that you're moving.
Yeah, we got to keep moving back to the car.
And everybody has the ward on their forehead.
Right.
So there's no way you can avoid them on your way off the plateau. So they're just everywhere. Everywhere you can see the flickering of these tendrils and something searing off of it. Some kind of, I think Kazoo and Azure would probably identify it as some kind of ectoplasmic substance, some kind of materializing of spiritual energy. And I want you all to make a saving throw, but with advantage because you have the ward. So you roll 2d20, and you want to roll under or equal your ST.
it's not actually looking that well on my phone, so I will roll a physical dice.
I got a 20 and a 1.
Wow, the gamut.
So I saved.
Yeah, I made it. Oh wait, hold on a second. ST. Oh yeah, I made it.
Nice.
How come the dice keep resetting? It's weird. Like the dice keep stacking on each other.
They are doing strange things.
Yeah, I don't think the the synchronous frame really works that well. It all works if it's all set up when you start and none of you ever move a dice.
Aha.
And Nida, who is alone in the dark.
Got a 10. See, my saving throw is 10.
Perfect. Wow. That is actually a critical success. I think
I got one too. I haven't. My success is my saving throw is 9.
So you are all plagued but not possessed by. It says here, staying too long among them summons ectoplasmic nightmares from the traveler's subconscious. So they all materialize, but Kazooie, what kind of nightmare from your subconscious confronts you?
Void Devourers. 4 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 Void Devour These are things I've only ever even heard stories about. They're monsters from the void that eat reality. Said to exist if you go far enough in the dark places between the stars. And why you shouldn't ever do that, even if you can.
And Hamish, what kind of nightmarish creature from your subconscious attacks you or confronts you, but then shuts it down?
I think it is his dead gang from back in the Redlands. The people who died before, in the score that went bad, that leaves that he had to flee and become the road hero that he is now.
Mm-hmm. And they all stand there with empty eyes, accusingly looking at you. But apparently you're unfazed. And then Azure, something from your subconscious confronts you, but somehow you actually overcome it, and by overcoming it, it loses its terror, something that you were afraid of before, but you are able to shrug off. What is it?
I think I kind of like everything fades to black, and then all of a sudden I'm in whatever the Black City imagines. It's like whatever I imagine the Black City looking like.
Mm-hmm.
And I go to where I got to go to the temple, and I lay down all the vile parts and do my ceremony, and then the Azure God, appears and looks down upon me and rejects my sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that's the greatest fear, is that I'd be rejected by the Blue God, and they wouldn't find me worthy of bringing the end to everything,
Mm-hmm.
maybe because I was a meth head or something like that. But I guess in my vision, I follow through with the complete ceremony, and there's some sort of like, I don't know, maybe there's some sort of like psychic struggle, but I convince the Blue God that that the vile parts are worthy, and then he brings everything down around him, and it's great.
Cool. Awesome. And Nida, in your case, it could probably be what's your
Yellow
ghost?
Landers.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the people who didn't listen. But I'm curious, what does that crit success get me?
I think in your case, it is probably what's her name? I'm trying to remember. So not Lila.
Yeah.
So you have been plagued by Lila for a very long time. She doesn't come every night, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
and very often you don't remember the dream that she actually did come. But now she comes again, but this time, and she has the burnt face. Her skin has this. It's like severely burnt. But this time she comes closer and she actually hugs you, and she whispers in your ear, "I forgive you."
And I nod at her.
And I guess she just disappears. And when you go on.
Nothing.
And when you leave the plateau, I think the morning is dawning. Where did you send the rest of the caravan? Where were they supposed to wait for you?
Good question. Pulling up the map right
Just
now.
south of the Cholan Woods, to the west.
Yeah, maybe like that candy cane looking tower.
Yeah, the candy canes.
Yeah, maybe not at that place, but wherever Austin's felt was safe along that road. You know?
Yeah. Okay. So not too far south.
Yeah.
Not too far south, not too far away. I mean, he does have a Gatling gun on that truck, just in case we really need help.
Yeah. So I guess you find them maybe. It is still twilight. It is still the violet haze, and you can see them in the haze. Side of the road. Austin says, find a place up the mountainside where he has the gun at the ready, and you reunite. From where you are, you can see to the south, to the southwest, these three thin, improbably tall red towers. But you can also just move south towards the Jade Baobab.
These are the towers that Kazoo was speaking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said there's a lot of wealth to be had there, and also the ghosts of machines.
I don't think wealth is all that appealing after a night in the nightmares of the Cholan Woods. You know?
Well, I'm glad to see no one was afflicted too badly. Yes, they were ferocious. I just hope that the answer to the question I'm looking for does not mean devourers. Because there isn't anything more frightening than those.
Does anybody want to explore the towers?
I mean, there is always, in game terms, the incentive to find whatever you're looking for. So for Azure, it could be another vile part. For Kazooie, it could be an oracle.
Sure.
But for Nida, it could be something beneficial for people who want to survive or protect.
Weapons.
I mean, yeah, mostly, but also possibly water, shelter, food, gas, a place to sleep.
Does this take a week? Is that how that works, or no?
No, not normally at a location it does, but we are in this twilight of a hex crawl at the moment. Okay. I do want to ask you now to definitely subtract the rations for the week, because it has been roughly a week, I think, since the last time.
All right, so it's the 5 of us?
It is the 14 of us, I think. 15 with
Austin. We're feeding them too.
The Redlanders, and then 1 for the truck. So 16, I guess.
God damn, that's going to cut in. All right.
Can I ask a question? I know that Brandon's not here for December, correct? How can we kick off the detox thing? Because I'd like to deal with that, and it can happen off screen. I don't care, but I'd like to just shake the golden amber shit.
We can start the process tonight, if you will.
Yes.
Next time you.
Happy to get that going now that we're out of the plateau.
Maybe in the morning, as we meet up with the rest of the caravan and catch our breath, and look pensive off into the distance about thinking about what we saw in there.
Cool.
As you mean, as Nida walks around whistling a jaunty tune, seemingly unaffected by any of it?
Yeah. Hamish looks at the hip flask that one of those dead companions gave him.
Oh, I think, you know what? I think Azure, like in that engagement with the blue god, he directly orders her to kick the golden amber.
Cool.
That's like how I broke that's how I broke the thing or whatever, the whatever jousting we were having.
Well, it's definitely the first step of getting off the addiction is realizing that
As your god realizing that there's a problem and telling you to do something about it.
yeah, cool. So
golden amber.
I assume that you then just, maybe settle there for the rest of the day. Everybody catches their breath. And Azure, how do you approach Kuzui?
I approach and I say, I don't know if you had anything happen when we faced those nightmares, but I had a strange vision with my god, and it directed me that I need to kick this golden amber habit, and I know that you can help me, and I know that it's painful and can be extremely difficult, but it's time. My God's told me to do this, and I need to step up and kind of quit being so much of a debauched motherfucker and get back on track and fulfill my prophecies.
That's a worthy thing to do. You won't like it.
That's fine. I'm willing to sacrifice.
Golden amber takes a hold of your brain and doesn't let go.
I know.
And it has to be forced out. Literally.
Fine. Let's make it happen. I can't take this anymore. I've fallen off the path that I was put upon when I began this journey. I need to get back on it as soon as possible.
All right. Kuzui takes out a little burner and starts to make a concoction.
And I ask, is there anything and I say, before we start, I do oracles. Is there anything that you would like me to look at for you?
I think you'll be busy.
Okay.
I'm afraid of having you look in the future because of what you may see for yourself.
Aha. All right. Well, let's do this.
I'll need help from somebody else. Hamish, you don't have to. It's fairly simple. At a certain point, I'm going to need you to hold him down.
I look at Azure and how big she's become with these mutations.
That's
and
a problem.
Like,
that's true.
No bother. And he wipes his forehead, smearing that mark over his head.
Maybe you should tie her.
You fancy getting tied up, Azure? And he winks.
Don't be a creeper, Hamish.
Hey, you know you love it.
Yeah.
And he ties her up.
Let's do what we got to do.
Tight.
Yeah.
You guys could tie me to the front of a truck or something like Mad Maxie, you know?
Oh yeah, definitely tied to the hood of the truck.
Absolutely. Yeah. Tight. If you tie her loose, she's going to hurt herself.
Yeah. Pull it really tight, like pull him back the arm, like pin down.
Okay. I brew something that is really evil smelling and looks awful. It looks like the kind of thing that you might create in order to, I don't know, strip rust from something.
When the smell wafts through the air, a lot of the Greenlanders they move away.
Yeah. No one should. I wave away anybody who shouldn't be who I don't think should be watching.
Yeah, there was one actually. Ada started to pray in the money cult that she belongs to, but when you wave her away, she follows your orders.
Okay. I give Azure something to bite down on.
Okay.
And then I reach into I rummage into my bags and I pull out a wrapped object, which when unwrapped it looks as much like a metal thorn as anything. It's this ugly curved piece of pointed metal.
Azure starts doing like muttering mantras or whatever under her breath.
And I find a small mallet. I put the point up against Azure's temple and I tap it. And it cracks your skull.
Ouch.
It is intensely painful and you bite down hard into the pad. Then I do the same on the other side, and that's not any less painful.
I'm screaming into the pad.
I pour the horrible smelling stuff into my own mouth. I put my lips to the side of your head and I blow it into your skull.
Nice.
That's
awesome.
And the feeling it feels like your head's being torn apart. If it weren't for the ropes, you would. I don't know what you'd be doing. At the very least, having a. And
I'm a pretty tough guy. I'm a pretty tough person. Very strong. Is it?
It's damage. It's doing real damage. Certainly, at least a D6 damage.
Awesome.
And I take another deep breath and I blow. And after a while of this, with you just screaming and the Namish holding you, even with the ropes, you still have to hold his head a little bit to hold him still enough. Stuff starts to leak out the other side.
What's it look like?
It looks golden.
Huh. Interestingly enough.
And this is exhausting, and I have to take. For me, and I have to take breaks. But then I reapply myself, And I keep blowing and blowing, and it's coming. It's the golden amber's coming out the other side, almost like pus from a wound. And then after this whole process, which takes hours, Kazue sits down, exhausted, and rinses her mouth out and spits several times, and says, "I think it's you can cut her down. She's not going to be able to stand."
Hamish cuts her down and pulls out a thing and starts wiping away the remains of the amber and stuff.
Let's wash her wounds, bandage them up. I don't think if it's all gone or most of or enough gone that her body can flush the rest of it. But you see what I mean when I said it literally takes hold of you.
A hell of a hangover cure.
And is Azure still conscious, or has she lost consciousness?
No, she lost consciousness from pain. There's no way to stay conscious.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think I would be.
And if you didn't have,
hey guys, thanks.
and I mean, some people it kills them to get this treatment.
I think that was really intense, and so I think that does warrant like a D6 damage to you, Azure.
Absolutely.
If you want to roll it yourself. Wow. And you did lose consciousness.
I'm on the ropes. I got 3 left.
Yeah, and you can see the people were standing at a great distance watching this, and after Hamish cut Azure down, the Greenlanders do come and carry you with all of them into the trailer to care for you.
So yeah, I say to them, she's both wounded and poisoned at this point. This will help to flush, to get the poison out of her system. Don't let her eat anything for at least a day.
You can see that they avoid looking at you, Kazui. They listen, but there's a newfound distance or awe towards you.
It was soon doomed to happen sooner or later.